Now, casting your mind back a few weeks ago, I spoke on the show about a competition that has gone gangbusters called Run It or Run It Straight. It has exploded on social media, amassing over 50 million views in the last 4 weeks. It involves a ball runner and a defender running full speed at each other within a 20-metre zone. The person who dominates the contact is deemed the winner. Predominantly, it's big men that run at each other. There's ex-leagueies taking part, ex-rugby players, and just young men. Now, I spoke recently with former League International Dean Lonergan, who said basically it was stupid. Big men running full speed at each other goes against everything, what every contact sport tries to at least minimise. Although he did say it was purely a numbers game and that the promoters have hit on something that people want to see and they will be profiting from it. 2 trial days are being held at Trust Arena in Auckland. Yes, it's come to New Zealand. The first was last night. The next tomorrow night with 16 players competing for prizes of $20,000. The top 8 earn a spot in the final, which then will be held in June. And get this, the winner takes home a baffling $200,000. So with that kind of money up for grabs, you can see, even as dangerous and ridiculous as this is, why there are people willing to give it a go. A brain injury support group is appalled by it. A lot of people are. Chief Executive of the Headway charity, Stacey Mowbray, says the activity will undoubtedly cause brain injury, and she joins me now. Stacey, good afternoon.
Kia ora, thanks for having me.
Look, it is, as I said, I looked at this a couple of weeks ago and I have spoken with a few people. What was your initial reaction when you first saw footage of a Run It Straight event?
I think really disbelief, horror and disbelief that, today when we know so much about, the risk of brain injury, when so many changes have happened on the rugby and league field, that someone's choosing to do this. Yeah, horrified.
Yeah, I mean, as well as yourself, Stacey, New Zealand Rugby has slammed it, along with other experts such as yourself that work in chronic traumatic encephalopathy or CTE. Can you explain for our listeners, though, what happens to the brain in a collision like this?
Yeah, so look, I'm not the best person to talk about this, and that there are much better, scientists and researchers in brain injury. We're very focused on community support, but I can say that, when there's that speed of impact, we know that the brain moves within the skull, and the scientists can explain that really well, but it is that movement, it's that twisting. So it doesn't need to be even a hit on the head, it's the speed of movement, and that's why. Yeah, we're really concerned. There's lots of research around the risks of this type of impact. Yeah. And we've known it for a while, which is why there have been changes in league and rugby over the years.
Of course. So concussion's often referred to as the invisible injury, doesn't it, Stacey? Because, you might not know you've got it.
Yeah, and I think that's such a good point. So last night, they say that 2 out of the 8 competitors were concussed. And we know that over in Melbourne, reports of 2 out of the 8 were actually knocked out. Yes. But you don't need to be knocked out to get a concussion. A concussion is really difficult to recognise, and that's something we spend a lot of time doing, trying to educate the community to recognise. Because it takes really that person with the concussion to be able to describe what they're feeling, their symptoms. So unless they say, I'm feeling this, I've got a headache, I'm feeling dizzy, it may not be picked up. And we know unless you get the right advice and the right support really early on, there's a serious risk of long-term impacts from what might be seen as just a concussion.
Yeah, and and it's obviously the concussion and brain injury is probably is the paramount concern, but there's also your shoulder being there's all sorts of injuries. They can
exactly.
break arms and shoulders and knees, and there's parts of the body that will be also traumatized if you're running at a 150 kg man. Do you think, Stacey, offering a large cash prize and $200,000, life-changing money for a lot of people, amounts to exploiting people that are financially strapped? This is a quick earn.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that they really are exploiting those who are experiencing financial hardship, and we know a lot of people are right now. I mean, we would say, that it's not informed consent. It really is kind of coercion, hanging this out there, offering it. But we also know that the impacts of, like you said, physical injury, but also really brain injury can have a significant impact on people's ability to work. So you go in there and next thing you're off work. So it impacts the family, it impacts us as a society. It is scary, and it's quite sad that, this has been, them monetising real risk and danger. It's crazy.
And it's not just the money either. I've had, obviously I've looked at who supports it and names that are kind of surrounding it. And there's been a few league players endorsing it, including Warriors, Chanel Harris-Tavita, who was actually a special guest at last night's trial in Auckland. I mean, when you've got these guys that, kids look up to, that families go and watch, have you reached out to the Warriors? What kind of message does this send?
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and we are really disappointed that any of the role models to our young people are associating themselves with this. We have reached out to the Warriors. We're disappointed we haven't heard back. We have heard back from Auckland Rugby League, who have said that they do not support this. They're not in any way associated with this. But, I would also call them all out and say it's not enough to just quietly say we don't support it. Where are our role models? Where are our sporting leaders saying out there to the young people, this isn't how we prove how tough we are. This isn't how you do it. And I think that's what we're really disappointed about. Our sporting bodies have put all this work over so many years into trying to mitigate the risk. Based on the research. Right. Yeah. 1995, shoulder charges were banned from grassroots rugby league. 1995, New Zealanders have been leaders in trying to protect.
Oh, I think we've lost you there, Stace. I can't hear you. Hello, Mike. Hello.
Hello.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, I think we just might have muted you out there. That's all right.
Oh, no, that's all good. Yeah, just saying, we've been leaders. New Zealand's been leaders in protecting our players. And it's disappointing that we're not having more of those people who've been, supported and protected by their codes as much as they can, speaking out against this.
Have you flagged this also, Stacey, with the likes of the Auckland Council and also WorkSafe New Zealand about how it permits these events, these straight events, how they're issued? Does it break, go against the work and safety laws? I don't know. What was their feedback?
Well, we really believe that, exactly, that exact one, Work and Health and Safety at Work Act. It's all about any event, it applies to events as well. Are they able to manage the risks as much as reasonably possible? That's not the exact wording, but we went to Auckland Council. They've actually come back to say it's not them who give the permits for the event because they're at private venues. So actually, I'm really pleased I had a good conversation with the interim CEO of the trust just earlier today. And hopefully, I'd really like to think that we've presented a strong case backed by research to really challenge how they're allowing this to go ahead there. We want to raise awareness around this, but ultimately we want to stop this. We need venues to step up and say it's not okay. We need the sports people to step up and say it's not okay. Because as you touched on, it's our young people who are watching this. It's made for TikTok, Instagram, and they're the ones who are also going to be imitating it.